Bon matin, bonjour tout le monde, hello everybody. I'm Sophie, Communication and Marketing Director at Bkom Studios.
Bonjour, moi c'est Félix, Game Designer chez Bkom Studio.
So today, aujourd'hui, on va faire un stream qui est bilingue. So we're gonna be talking French or English depending on who's in the chat with us. Felix is gonna walk us through Sunday Gold. We're gonna get some gameplay, and if you have some questions for him in regards to game design and all that stuff, he's gonna be answering all your questions today.
You can talk about the whole thing as well, not just game design, anything.
And we have something special for the viewers that are on Twitch live with us. We have a key that we're gonna give away at the end of the stream today. So pay attention to what Felix says we're gonna do. The giveaway in sort of a riddle question about the game at the end of the stream, and the first person that guesses the answer correctly will get the key.
Hope you have something planned, because I'm not making up riddles at 10 a.m. in the morning.
On est prêt? We
Okay.
are ready?
So let's get started. I can't hear the game though. Is it normal? Okay. All good. So let's get started. We're gonna see the introduction. On va voir l'intro, puis on voit qu'est-ce qui s'est passé il y a 2 ans avec nos héros.
Il y a 2 ans.
Donc on commence dans l'action. Ici, un personnage qui dit à Frank et Sally de se bouger les fesses un peu parce que là, le trouble semble être sur le bord de commencer. Là, Frank a une idée par exemple. Et trouve un code. Et il a son plan tout fait dans sa tête.
Ready to go.
Tout va être parfait, ça va super bien aller. Et on est sûr de notre shot. Et oh. Là, ça vient de partir mal, de virer mal. L'alarme sonne et faut trouver une façon de s'en aller.
Here goes. Freeze.
Et là, la bataille qui commence. Frank et Sally se disent, je pense que nous autres on va sauver nos fesses. On va s'en aller. Et ils laissent leurs collègues derrière. Et on revient au présent.
Alright, so today we're gonna kick it off with the prologue of the game and play some of chapter 1, but not beyond that. Not to spoil anything before the actual release of the game on October 13, coming soon.
Yep.
So we're excited.
Less than a month.
Less than a month. If you are with us on Twitch in the chat, please say hi.
And now we have basically the introduction to the game. Frank has problems, and we're gonna discover what they are. So he got kicked out of his pub, of his favorite pub, because he picked a fight with somebody.
Est-ce que tu veux le son ou pas?
Là ici on a de la conversation. Frank il se dit oh il a perdu son téléphone s'est ramassé à terre. Donc on commence le gameplay ici.
Hey, so my first question for you,
Yes.
Felix. If you could describe Sunday Gold, what kind of game it is?
It's
Yeah.
an adventure game with RPG elements. So you're exploring the world, solving puzzles, and discovering something that's happening. I don't want to spoil too much, but you're discovering a big thing that's happening as you're navigating the environment and discovering the world. And there's also RPG elements where you gain experience, have combat in a JRPG fashion, Final Fantasy or Octopath Traveler or different JRPGs. And you're leveling up, getting skill points, and you're progressing through the adventure that way. So,
Tifo are joining us on Twitch. Hi.
hey. And now we have Frank getting messages on his phone. So he owes money to the mob. So he's getting a threatening message from this big burly fellow telling him that, you know, he's going to lose his kneecaps if he doesn't pay up in time. And now Frank doesn't have any money because he's always broke. And now he's looking for Sally because she said, well, she's going to tell him something, that she has a big business opportunity for him That's gonna make them some money that should be able to pay up Frank's debt. So now, first objective of the game. So it's an adventure game. There's objectives, so we don't guide you by the hand too much, but we don't just put you in the forest and leave you there trying to explore. So you have
objective.
Yeah.
Track your progress in a mission log.
And then that's the tutorial that's
Database.
explaining how everything works. So you have a database of information on the world, the gameplay elements, and now you have your objective over here. So
Okay.
you can click on it to go to the mission log.
You gotta get back in the pub. Do you have a secondary mission at this point, or
Not right
just
now.
the primary mission?
Yes. So currently you only have one main goal to get back into the pub. There's going to be some sub-objectives once you discover some kind of steps to get to your goal. You can look at the database. So it fills up as you go. So right now you only have Frank. You have his short bio over here. And you have the weapon that Frank has. And some game concepts that are added. Oh, we could turn down the sound of the game apparently.
We turn up or we turn down? We turn it up. Got it.
Okay.
Puis le jeu, là, la façon de jouer est point and click.
Oui.
Donc là, tu peux explorer tout ce qui est highlighté en jaune et regarder un petit peu qu'est-ce que tu as à ta disposition. Donc, qu'est-ce qui se passe en ce moment?
Présentement, là, Frank est dans l'allée, il faut qu'il retourne dans le pub et on va comme explorer un peu comment faire pour retourner dans le pub. De toute façon, moi, si j'avais retourné dans le pub, je me dirais je vais prendre la porte.
Makes sense.
So now Frank tries to get back into the door, but you see the bouncer in the window over here and he's not having it. So he won't let Frank back in because he doesn't want fighting in his bar. So now as Frank was looking to get back into the pub, now he decides that he has to create a diversion. So let's...
The bouncer won't let me back in the pub.
Yeah.
My pant is getting warm.
So yeah.
I'm getting soaked in the rain.
So now he's going to have to find a way to outsmart the bouncer. So what can he do? You can also explore the world a bit. You have posters over here that kind of not necessarily explore, but kind of tell you more about the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some cool art that we made. That's really nice. So you have like the white fox. That's the statue that they were trying to get at the beginning. And it's to build the world a bit. It's a sort of badge of pride for rich people to have the statue of the white fox as long as possible in their possession. And they hire people like Frank and Sally to try to steal it from other rich people and kind of move it around town. So it's sort of a bragging rights kind of game for the rich people in this world.
C'est bien qu'on peut voir des éléments artistiques en fait du jeu par rapport au lore juste à explorer. And now we see you have 7 AP. So you have an AP system. Could you explain that a little bit?
Yes. So en français,
English or French, whichever.
Yeah, just if you're in the chat, just tell us how you'd like to hear us. But you have an action point system where it's going to be introduced formally eventually as we go once you end your turn, but you spend action points to perform actions in the game. So if you were to, let's say, talk to the vagrant, I'm going to take that away, it costs 1 action point. So once you deplete all your action points, or at any time after the tutorial phase is done, you can end your turn to make the world progress a bit. So we're not going to pretend to be in a super hot system, but the game's super hot.
That could be bad though, right? Time goes on, it could mean a lot of things.
So like let's pretend that we're in the game super hot. When you move, something happens. So in this game, when you're exploring the game, you're kind of freezing time. And then once you end your turn, time goes on, so some events happen. You could have enemies that find you. You could have other events that could take place, or characters that we're going to meet later could have something happen to them. So let's start by talking to the vagrant. Maybe he knows what's going on. So the vagrant is not having the best day. So he's telling Frank that he's in the sun. But Frank knows that it's the middle of the night. So the vagrant's not really helpful right now.
Okay, so that's not the way to go back inside.
So
Could you like get a crowbar and I don't know, hit the window?
Yeah, it's right here. So why not?
Why not?
Why
Let's
not
try, right?
Let's try to break in. Why not? So you're trying to reach for the crowbar, and
Oh.
hey! Yeah, the vagrant is not happy with you. Like, why are you taking my stuff?
So sometimes you use AP when you shouldn't have, right? So you have to be sure you make the right decisions.
Yeah. So as we're gonna discover after the tutorial, once you end your turn, some events can happen, and the alert level of let's say the enemies around you is gonna go up most of the time. So if it keeps going up, it gets more threatening, where they could attack, they could be more dangerous when you find some enemies. So you're gonna have to kind of manage that. But sometimes you get lucky and the alert level goes down a bit because you lost them somewhere. So Frank says like, why don't you just let me have your crowbar? And the vagrant is not happy and just says like, no, you're not taking my crowbar.
The voice acting is really nice, and we also have, for you Québécois, Canadiens, Français, il y a aussi des VO en québécois adaptés pour nous. C'est vraiment bon. En tout cas, moi, je suis pas habituée de voir des sacs en québécois dans les jeux, puis Senegal offre ça, si vous avez la chance d'avoir le jeu. And we have Call, hey, welcome Call in the Twitch chat asking, is there a giveaway I can join? So we are gonna give away the key at the end of the stream. We're gonna finish at 11 Eastern time. The way we're gonna give out the keys, Felix is gonna ask a very simple question regarding Sunny Gold, very basic. If the first person that gets the answer correct will get the key in the chat. The game looks great. Well, thank you. Felix is with us as a game designer that worked on the project on Sunny Gold. If you have any question regarding game design, he's gonna walk us through the game. I'll try the next hour. So, okay, where are we at now?
Okay, so now the vagrant won't let me have his crowbar, but he's probably maybe looking for his next drink. So let's try to... Oh, I found some pocket change in the phone booth, because that's still a thing in 2070. And now I have an inventory that I can go look at. I could use the shortcut, but I'll use the mouse. And now we have Frank. I don't have any consumables, so I don't see anything here, but I have my weapon. No gear yet, and key items. So now I can see there's some pocket change that I picked up.
That could be useful.
Yeah, and now I have a new objective over here that says borrow the homeless man's crowbar. So the gate's locked.
Oh, okay, I see where this is going.
Yeah, I mean, so I could inspect the gate just to...
On va le payer, on va l'acheter sa crowbar.
Wow. Now, there's an old lock, and as you were saying, we have French translations, well, French-Canadian translations, and a VO as well as text in the game, so it was a real pleasure to try to translate our kind of busted way of speaking.
And the game is also localized in other languages. Yep. So not just French and English, but you'll be able to play the game in other languages, not the VOs though, right? Yep. The subtitles, right? Okay.
All the text in the game is going to be written in the language, but the VO is going to be in English.
And the free prologue can be played right now on Steam. If you want to have a glimpse of the adventures of Frank, Sally, and Gavin, you can head over to Steam, try out the free prologue, and if you are enjoying the game, be sure you add it to your wish list. Sunny Gold will be available October 13. As you said, in less than a month. It's coming quickly, and we are really excited about the release of this game.
So now, I gave the vagrant some money, and he's gone to get... Well, as Frank suggested getting some food. He said, I'm going to go get a drink. So now you can pick up his crowbar.
And now you're under 2, right? We saw it in orange.
So the game interface was telling me that it would spend all or more than all of my action points. And you can go into the negative. So what happens in this case is that, first of all, you're going to have to end your turn because you can't do anything anymore. And you're going to regain 7 action points in Frank's case. So you're going to be at 6 next turn. So now my action points are depleted. I'm going to end my turn.
So do all of the 3 heroes gain a different amount?
They could.
They could.
And question about pre-order.
Will it be available for pre-order? Well, the game is available for the full launch in less than 3 weeks, so there's no pre-order at this time, but you can get on Steam and play the free prologue. Get a sense of the prologue and a bit of the first chapter as well.
And we kind of went quickly over it, but we saw an event that happens at the end of the turn. So now Frank heard somebody getting kind of attacked in the alley. So now we see what's happening over there. We have
Oh, jeez.
big tough guy beating up a little guy. So we could stay here and he'd keep punching him forever, but we can go smash the gate and see what's happening over there.
It's a cruel world, right? In the 2070s. Bleak London. I want to ask you though, why this setting?
Let's start with the genesis of the game. Basically, we got some cool art from our friends at Volta that sent
Volta,
us.
hi.
Yeah, that sent us some really nice concept art that established not specifically London in 2070, but a future London or future kind of world where it was kind of bleak and going downhill a bit, with some kind of rough art and like combat and kind of gritty visuals.
We went beyond that with your concept, right? And that's how Sonic Gold was made.
Yeah, we were told, do you guys want to make a game with this art and with this concept? And we said, sure. And we built this world around it that we can then explore.
I feel bad for this guy now. He's just getting like...
Yeah, if we talk too long, he's going to keep getting punched in the face. So now Frank gets in the alley and you can only interact with the thug because you can examine it. You can examine, I'd say, like 99.9% of the stuff in the game. And the characters are always going to have something interesting to say about it. So Frank knows the thug. And he says, like,
beating someone up?
Yeah, it's just a regular night in town, so let's talk to him. Now, Ian is not happy. Well, he's doing his work. So, like, you pay the boss back on time. And, yeah, Frank just kind of being a bit...
Being himself, right? We have Tibor in the chat. Hi, thank you for joining us today.
And then, yeah, Ian is out to collect £200 £200 and remind the guy that you don't mess with the mob. So, yeah.
Friendly neighborhood.
Yeah, so now Ian says, oh, well, you're on the list for next week, Frank, so let's just get that over with quickly. Because he knows that Frank's a deadbeat that won't have
and now
money.
we get to have a look at combat.
Yeah.
On va maintenant tomber dans un système de combat. Si tu peux nous expliquer un petit peu le fonctionnement de tout ça.
Donc là, le combat commence. On a Ian ici qui nous dit un peu, là, il y a des petites menaces qui se donnent au début. Je vais te remettre à ta place. Puis là, Frank dit, oh, c'était pas de bonne idée.
Oh, so why turn-based combat? You mentioned you had like Final Fantasy Octopath Traveler as inspirations. I want to hear more about like the making of this kind of system.
I really like this kind of combat system, first of all.
And so do I.
And then after that, I think it fits well with the pacing of the exploration, where we have an action points based system, and exploration games like that could be real time in theory, but it's kind of hard to make everything happen in real time where your characters are kind of dictating how quickly the game advances. So I think the JRPG combat system with turn-based combat and everything worked well in this situation.
We have Tibor telling you in the chat, the prologue was incredible and I've played through 2 times. Awesome, and I found some new things on the second playthrough.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot to discover. I think you could just zoom through the game and just do the main quest and everything, but I think there's some value to exploring around and kind of discovering the hints that we left around to hint at the world that surrounds the game, because yeah, we have the main characters and their quests, but we have a future London that we've kind of built and let's say narratively explored to tell us like what's going on, why is the world so the way it is. I don't want to say crappy, but
oh, so you got to do one attack with your, what is that, butter knife? What do you have?
Butterfly knife.
Butterfly knife?
It flips and you don't get your fingers caught in it. But now you can attack. This weapon attacks twice. We see that you're going to have like 87% chance to hit. And we see the damage type of the weapon. And in this case, it's good because the thug is not resistant to like bladed slashing damage. So now we can attack. Frank's gonna attack.
And what's the 5 is the HP that he has?
That's his defense buffs.
Defense buffs.
So if you can break his defense buffs, then he's going to be staggered and he's not going to be able to act for a turn. 2 turns? A turn.
Got it. Cool.
And then that's going to prevent his next attack. Because in this case, well, I'm out of action points, so I'm going to have to guard. Guarding regenerates action points and it protects you from charged attacks when enemies have this kind of fire around their feet. And they have a line that says like who they're targeting. In this case, it's only Frank because he's alone. But when you have multiple heroes, it's going to tell you like, is it targeting one hero or all of them if there's a cone in front. So now I'm going to guard and I'm going to defend against his attack. So I gain the buff that says like I'm defending. But because the enemy missed, and because I was guarding against their charged attack, they lost defense buffs because they basically, if you're trying to go for a punch and the other guy dodges, you're gonna kind of be committed to your punch for a while. So now Frank can counterattack, and because the defense buffs are gone, the enemy is weaker. So now, after a turn of not attacking, they're regaining the defense buffs.
I think we're almost done, right here?
Yeah, in this case, I think we're gonna take him out unless we miss.
Oh yeah.
So Frank, yeah, he's been in the game for a while, but I think he still knows that he's got it. So. Now we can exit combat. We see the victory screen.
So what can you gain from leveling up in the
Yeah, we're gonna see it at the end of the prologue, but at the end of the prelude. But yeah, in this case, we won the fight, and we get an item.
Nicely rolled bales.
Yeah, it's a roll of 200 pounds. So we get experience points, and we see Frank's level and how many experience points he needs to get to the next level. Then we can continue, and we're gonna go back to the exploration. So you get the quest item that you found, so 200 pounds in bills. And now Frank's happy to get a couple of dollars, a couple of bucks, but it's not enough to pay out to fix his old mob loan situation. So he's gonna have to look for something more.
So you're gonna look into like the dumpster, or?
Yeah, now because the fight with the thug happened, we can now explore, so we see some items that we can interact with.
On a encore 3 AP. On peut faire un petit peu d'action.
So let's examine Ian. Like, yeah, Ian's not gonna do overtime anymore because he's dead in the alley. So we're gonna search him, and we found some painkillers. So now I'm out of action points. So let's end the turn. Now it's quieter this time. There's nobody getting beat up. So that's good. Now, what could we do next? We could look at the newspaper. Let's look at the newspaper because I think that's along with the posters that we saw earlier in the window. The newspapers are an interesting way to kind of build the world. So we have little articles that tell you about what's happening around, like outside of the game, but around what's happening in the game.
So there's a lot of text elements in the game, some extra information that if you want to read and learn more about the setting, Sun and Gold and all that, you can. Either you go deep into the lore, or you can, as you said, just go skim through it. And
yeah, it's up to you how much you want to kind of discover, but I think there's a lot of really nice world building. And speaking of Volta art, that's straight up something that we saw at the very start of the project. So like a big prison or a big apartment complex with tons of people around. And
I'm curious, as far as your role when it comes to this sort of content and newspaper, like did you write the text yourself, or how did that go in the development team?
In the newspapers specifically, no, but I wrote a lot of the quips and dialogues.
So you were into the dialogues of the game.
Yeah.
If you like the dialogues, Felix is the one. Well, you were a team of a lot of awesome people, so
yeah.
Everybody that's on the Sun and Gold team or was in the Sun and Gold team and are moved on to other projects, well, I guess we can give you a shout out and say hi to everybody.
Good work, everybody. And just to remind everybody, like we were maybe a full-time team of around 20 people, but maybe 45-ish people, I think,
a lot of people
interacted with the game at some point. So it's really nice to see it all come to life.
And that's strictly Bkom, because obviously there have been partners involved on the audio. There's PVL Audio for the sound and music. You mentioned Volta, Team 17 as the publisher. So a lot of great people have worked on this title.
Yeah, it's really nice. And now I searched the victim's pockets and I found some firecrackers and a shopping list. So now I can see that he was out shopping for cake, balloons, firecrackers, and a bike. The bike's the only thing that's not crossed off his list, and it's 200 pounds. So we can see that he probably had that money and Ian took it. So I can be nice and give it back, or I can choose not to. But I'll give it back in this case because I'm a good guy. So you're welcome.
Okay, good deed.
So now I get an achievement for that.
Do you guys see it on screen? You got an achievement on Steam. I'm not sure the overlay supports it, but he's got an achievement. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because the Gavin's head is hiding it, I think.
Like when I hit the end turn button, it's kind of hidden by Gavin's head, but it's almost, we can see it. So now I could knock on the back door. Maybe the bouncer will be nice and let me in.
I didn't even think about it.
Nope. Nah,
Rentre
no
pas,
luck.
tu rentres pas ici, toi.
Oublie ça.
Yeah, mais t'étais impliqué dans les dialogues en français, en
Oui.
québécois. It was working on the French-Canadian dialogues, though, a lot, from what I heard.
Yeah. So,
Très cool.
yeah, we got translations and we kind of adjusted everything to fit into our Québécois way of speaking, which was interesting because it doesn't write itself all that well.
Well, just like in English, if you're watching like UK and USA speak differently, they have different expressions. Same thing for Quebec and France. It's actually a different dialect, so there's a lot of like localization that needs to be done when doing this.
Yeah. And doing an estimate of the kind of volume of words in the game, about 78,000 words to translate. That was quite interesting.
Cal is saying it's nice that it's coming out with achievements. I'm an achiever on Steam. Personally, I run all the achievements in a game before moving to the next. And I'm happy to see Senegal as achievements. Could you tell us a bit more about the sort of achievements you have? Is it story related or exploration related or?
Yeah, it's let's say split half and half between story progression. So if you just play through the game, you're gonna get, let's say, a handful of achievements that just like, oh, you reached chapter 2, chapter 3. But there's also some of the stuff that lets you go out of the way a bit. So if I didn't give the victim his money back, then I wouldn't get that achievement. But I think I would get another one. It's been a while since they were designed.
Cool.
But there's a couple of other things that kind of invite you to maybe not do the expected thing and then just like do something else, or not something else specifically, but do more than the bare minimum, and then you're going to get achievements and you're going to discover some more stuff. Because it's not in the prologue, but at some point you get an option to maybe help somebody and save them or not, or you could just choose not to do the action and then you're going to have a different experience in this case. And then now I could search the dumpster. So let's spend my action points to search the dumpster, and I find a bottle of Birmingham's finest, Frank's favorite kind of booze.
In the dumpster.
Well, there's a story with that as well.
Hello, bonjour to Steph.
Right. So yeah, just let's explore the backstory of Frank's favorite booze for a while. Let's go in the inventory. It's Frank's favorite, but everybody else hates it because it's the cheapest thing you can find. And yeah, Gavin has a nice little story about the first time he drank it.
So it restores your composure. Can you tell us a bit more about composure?
Sure. It's going to be introduced in about 10 minutes, but...
Oh, go ahead. No, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I can talk about it now. Currently, we're in the tutorial phase, so we're kind of sprinkling in new mechanics as we go, but once you get to chapter 1, people that have played the prologue are gonna know about it because it's introduced before the prologue ends. But when the characters are gonna find themselves in stressful situations or kind of scary moments that they don't react all that well to.
It varies depending on who the character is, right? Okay.
And when they get kind of freaked out by different things that happen, they're gonna lose composure, which it works kind of like the health meter, but you don't die if you get to 0. You just are in a complete panic mode. So as you progress through the adventure, you might find yourself kind of losing composure, which is going to affect different things in the game. It's going to trigger debuffs. So some characters are potentially afraid of some things, but they can manage it when their kind of composure is good. But if they get too stressed out, they're going to start feeling that fear, and now it's going to affect them negatively in different ways. Or when you're in combat, you could, if you're low on composure, you could have moments where you start panicking and the character wants to act on their own. So they have a timer that shows up that's going to put pressure on you, the player. So the character's stress is going to stress you out, hopefully a little bit. Not too much. But you're going to have time pressure to act before the character just decides to act on their own. And all three heroes have different ways that they react to stress. So you could, well, let's
I guess we'll discover it as we go. And as you move along, we have Tibor also in the chat suggesting the New Game Plus is something that could be coming at some point, or can you unlock most of it, if not everything, in a single run?
I think you're gonna have to do at least 2 playthroughs to discover everything. Currently, we don't have a New Game Plus system built in, but we kind of explored it for a while.
You did mention though that if you have a story option like giving the coin or not, it could be one achievement or the other.
Yeah.
So you may have to either multiple save or just multiple game sessions to go in different paths to discover other aspects of the game.
Because I'm thinking 3 or 4 times in the game, you're gonna have kind of a branching point where you can choose 2 plans. So it's always basically that way, where you have a situation that requires a plan, and then the characters come up with, like, Sally's gonna say, oh, Sally's kind of a tough girl, so
the front door,
she says, like, let's blow everything up and knock down the door and just wreck the place. Or Frank's gonna be more subtle because he's kind of a wiry guy, so he can fight, he can hold his own in combat, but he's kind of a sneakier guy, so he's gonna suggest something that's gonna be, like, more subtle and sneaky. So you're gonna have different options in this style throughout the game, and if you want to see everything, I recommend just picking one path one time and then picking the other path the second time you play, so you can discover all the cool story and the conversations and everything. So now I'm out of the alley. The firecrackers are blowing up. The doorman's trying to figure out what to do there, so he's not in the window anymore. So now's my time to sneak in. So I'll just look through the window.
Coast is clear.
Coast is clear. We're good to go. So let's go in. So now we get inside the Jolly Hangman pub.
I love the design of this place.
Yeah, it's a really cool piece of art. And not to toot my own horn or anything, because I didn't design all that many of the rooms in the game, but that's one of the ones that I built. And going through the process of, like, building gray blocks to say, like, oh, this is a chair, this is a table, this is the bar, and then seeing it come to life in art is super gratifying. This is the awesome perks of game making, I think, from somebody that doesn't do art at all, because I cannot draw and colors are not my friends, and seeing the awesome work of people that bring that to life to make this happen is awesome.
There's that, but there's also all the gameplay mechanics, like the combat, the system, the point and clicks, everything like that. It's insane. Yeah,
because it's just don't want to glamour up too much game design, but basically I write words on paper, well, on digital paper, but I write digital words and I send them to people and I present our ideas, not all mine, but collectively our ideas, and I synthesize them and offer them to people, happens. And that kind of stuff happens afterwards. So it's really awesome. So now Frank's just thinking about what he's gonna do. So he's gonna look around a bit before sitting down with Sally, because in a lot of situations you're gonna have text that's in bold in, like, chat bubbles like this. So that's basically your next objective. So now we see that catch up with Sally is the objective, and Frank says, okay, I'm gonna sit down with Sally at some point. So now Sally says, hey, Frank, I'm sitting here. So now, completed an objective. We're gonna level up, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now, objective complete. We gain experience points, I believe. Not yet. Okay, after we catch up with Sally. So now Sally called me about a business opportunity that could solve my money problems. So now let's try to find out what she's been up to. And people in chat, weird to speak French and English, but people in chat, just feel free to ask questions about anything related to the game. We're not going to spoil too much, hopefully, but I'm open to answering questions, and Sophie is as well. le monde de chat, poser des questions si vous êtes avec nous. C'est le fun de vous avoir, c'est le fun de vous jaser. Puis on peut parler en français aussi si vous voulez.
Eh oui, we're doing Franglish today.
Yeah.
And quick reminder, if you haven't tried out Stanley Gold, it's free for the Prologue on Steam. You can go and download and try out the game. And the release is October 13. If you haven't added it to your wish list, don't forget to do so. And you'll be notified when the game is out. And we're super excited. It's coming quickly.
Yes. That moment is nerve-wracking. So let's have a look at the Jukebox. Because... oh, no, what's their name? Yeah, okay, Burleywood. Burleywood is a band that basically gave us access to their music to use in the game.
No.
So the entire Jukebox is all their songs. So that's really cool of them. I think they're friends of Phil from PVL.
Mm-hmm. I can look it up if you want me. I'd love to give him a shout out.
So whenever you're in the pub, and we're gonna come back a couple times between missions, so you hear that music, and also shout out to the sound team at PVL, where depending on where you are in the pub, because you can eventually go to the basement, you hear the music differently, so it's kind of muffled when you're in the basement, and it's clearer when you're on the ground floor. So now I can chat with the patron to, if I examine him, yeah, Frank says like, oh, this is the guy I punched earlier, so could be nice to patch things up with him. And now let's talk to the patron. So the patron doesn't really take too kindly to Frank coming back to talk to him, so he's not happy. But let's try to make peace a bit. And just, yeah, okay. So Frank's gonna pay for the patron's next pint. So he talks to Samantha, the barkeeper, to have a glass of Hogan Excelsior, gold label. And Frank, basically, you discover that Frank kind of picked a fight with the guy, or a fight broke out. Let's not put Frank into accuse him of starting anything, but yeah. So basically, the fight broke out because they got into an argument about Kenny Hogan, which is the city or the country's like top billionaire that's kind of everywhere in the news. And that guy really likes him. He likes the way he just like tells it like it is and is super honest about everything. But Frank kind of doesn't like Kenny Hogan too much. So we're gonna discover more about that later on.
So I can't find the audio, but for next stream next Tuesday, we'll be sure to give a shout out.
Okay. So how the hell do you get back in here, Frank? And then I talked it out with the bouncer. Not really.
You talked.
So yeah, Samantha kind of knows what's up because she's sharp and she knows Frank. So she knows that Frank's not really super on the up and up all the time. So Frank's back. Yeah, for worse. So you can explore a bit. You have different items that you can look at. You can look at the clock. It's not examine everything, but so Frank's like, has this clock ever worked? So yeah, kind of Frank's behind on his money, his booze payments as well. So that's maybe why it's not fixed. So now let's kind of progress the story and go talk to Sally. I can examine her first, kind of interface, but and yeah, just it's been a while since they talked. And their last job that we saw in the introduction video went bad. And
sideways is an understatement, as he says.
Yeah. So now we have the first full screen dialogues. So the bigger conversations in the game are featured as full screen dialogues, where we have the super awesome portraits that Volta drew to have the character's expression. So now we have Sally's kind of satisfied expression. So you can see she's smiling a bit. And because she's kind of like poking fun at Frank a bit, like, you're still alive, surprised. And Frank, is pretty satisfied too. So, and then Sadie kind of goes back to her normal expression. So we have these cool expressions that give a lot of personality to the characters, to just put them kind of more in context. And we're gonna have more than just the three heroes, but now we have Sally and Frank chatting a bit. So everything's voiced, by the way. I'm probably talking over it, but So now they're chatting a bit, like, what's been happening with you? And Sally knows that basically, like, Frank, you haven't done any business lately. Business in quotes, which means, you know, stealing stuff to try to make money by reselling the White Fox, among other things. And, well, Frank, you know, yeah, I'm broke, but what about you? Well, Sally works now. So Frank's going to be a bit surprised. Like, really? You're working a real job? What's that? Because Frank, in his bio, you see that he doesn't want to be a cog in the machine. Basically, he doesn't want to work. He just wants to kind of do his criminal undertakings and just find a place for him in the world that way.
So she works at a dog rescue shelter.
Yeah. So also that's a hint about what's coming later on. But yeah, they talk about the underground race leagues because in this world, the big thing right now is dog races. And they're not like, oh, you find a dog somewhere, you put them on a track. They build robot dogs that are kind of all juiced up on weird like chemicals and mechanical contraptions built into their bodies, and they run through the race and they fight along the way. So that's a brutal sport that we're going to introduce, like, I think the next click or something, or close to.
So no spoilers, but there was someone else in the mission with them at the start.
He's coming. So he's going to be introduced at about after, I think, the King's League introduction.
I'm referring to a woman in red and black hair.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So there's more to the story than just a small mission, but we're going to discover this as we go.
So I think we're going to get the cinematic right now. So don't they get enough from the King's League? And yeah, the King's League are reanimated monsters. She takes care of dogs that are basically just
Let's
juiced
watch
up.
this now.
So that's the King's League kind of promotional reel. So now we have a look at the dogs in the King's League. And they're racing, but it's not just racing. It's brutal. And we have the broadcasters that I'm talking over.
Boy, it's been quite a ride. Join us for more Desmond Wells Cup action.
It's survival. So, yeah, Frank doesn't like it, and he goes into full anime angry pose. And yeah, just what's happening in this country. And Sally says, yeah, it's been happening for a while, man. So now Frank fancies himself as a sort of modern day Robin Hood, where he takes from the rich and gives it to himself because he probably is the poorest person he knows. So, but Sally, yeah, you're full of it, Frank. You're not Robin Hood. Get over yourself. So now, just after this chit chat, Frank says like, "Hey, we talk about money now, so let's chat money now." And now we have Gavin that's introduced because that's their lead for their new job.
Nice.
Yeah. He's out of the bathroom, and that's Gavin.
So who's your favorite character in the chat? I'm curious to know. Sally, Frank, or Gavin?
We had some really positive stuff about Sally because right now she's just sitting on a chair, but she can kick ass like nobody's business. So it's really nice to have.
Sally
okay.
call.
I think
So, we have a Sally fan in the house.
Sally resonates because women.
Sally, because Tibor, she can beat you up and touch you up as well.
Good point. Now Gavin's full of angry anime pose. And then, yeah, Gavin used to work for Hogan Industries, Kenny Hogan's big corporation, but now he quit, and because he discovered something that's kind of really bad. We're not going to spoil it because it's going to be introduced at the end of chapter 1.
You'll see at lunch.
Yeah. So now Frank like, oh, really? Now we're going to kind of... He's kind of downplaying it, like, really? We're going to go help some angry old employee just get his stuff back or something? But no. Sally knows that it's not just like small potatoes. It's a big deal. So Gavin now goes into satisfied.
I'm curious about what you guys think of the story so far, what you've played in the prologue.
Yeah. Curious about that as well.
I'd love your feedback. I want to know what you think. The hacking really got me into thinking before I realized how it worked.
Yeah, I really like the hacking minigame. I think we're gonna see it before if somebody has seen it before, we'll see it before the end of the prologue. But I really like the hacking minigame. If I could make it into an app just to play on on its own, I think I would. And it also, just for extra satisfaction, you can play it with the mouse, but you can also play it with your numpad, and that's super satisfying to just beep, 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 beep,
like
beep, punch in the numbers. Yeah. Can just the extra little satisfaction of using your keyboard instead of the mouse is just really I don't know, it just hits in the right place for me.
Fait que là, ils planifient leur prochain coup ensemble.
Ouais.
They're planning their heist together. So, I haven't played the prologue yet, says Cal Menoral in the chat. I want to experience the full game, so I'm waiting until lunch. Well, we can't wait to hear your thoughts after lunch.
It's like 3 weeks now. Just,
October 13, if you have just joined us, the game is on Steam. You can play the free prologue, and the title will be available October 13. Don't forget to add it to your wish list if you haven't done so yet.
You're gonna get an email that says like, hey, Sunday Gold's available now, if it's on your wishes. And now, basically, Gavin explains what they're gonna do. So they're gonna go to his old office. They're gonna go get the files that he's looking for and just get them from the network, and that's it. And now, like, Frank, what do we do in that? You're just gonna go to the office and get files, but there might be some trouble that shows up. So Gavin knows that you're also going to find that later on, but Gavin reached out to Sally because Sally kind of advertised their services, in quotes, where she kind of advertises, or let's say on Layback or whatever, Craigslist. Like, yeah. We solve problems with muscle and with kind of thievery skills.
That's great.
So, yeah, just that's where they come in. And now slip in, steal some computer info, slip out. It seems kind of basic for Frank because he's used to the big, flashier. Well, you saw his plan in the video in the introduction, so with all the cool like planning that he made. So now he's like, oh, this is gonna be too simple. But Frank says like, it's never all that simple.
So we have a special guest in the chat. Luke here. I just wanted to jump in and see the pro himself, Felix play. Luke from Team 17 on the production team.
Luke.
Hi, it's great to have you join us.
Speaking of special guests, look.
And Gina, hello Felix and Sophie. Gina has also worked on the game.
Yep.
So we have another special guest in the chat. Welcome, Gina. Salut.
Yeah, that's part of the all-star team working on the game.
All-star.
And then we have, basically they explain their plan. It's Frank says like, oh, why don't we just go do like old-fashioned robberies, but we have to go high-tech now because he's kind of a low-tech guy by choice. So now Sally's, just take the paycheck, Frank, just shut up. But yeah, it's gonna be trouble. So now Frank kind of has caught up with Sally. He gains his experience points, and we're gonna level up. Cool level up screen. Now Frank leveled up. We gained some new stats, and we gained some new abilities, which now we're gonna introduce the skill tree.
Yeah.
Before we get started with the first mission. Now we have Frank's skill tree. So we have every character has 4 categories of skills. In Frank's case, he uses long guns, so basically rifles and shotguns. He uses his light melee weapons, like his butterfly knife. He has investigation skills, so he can pick locks and kind of observe the rooms to scan for objects. So if you're kind of stuck a bit, you can use Frank to say like, oh, is there something I missed in this room? You can use his observe skill and then just see like, okay, what's interactive in this room? And he also has leadership skills because he's the leader of the team. Well, he thinks himself.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, Sally's the brains, but Frank's the face. So yeah. So his leadership skill just basically makes. He has an aura that gives everybody like bonuses to resistance to stress and purging stress.
So for you, which is your favorite one in
there? I like lock picking in this case because it reduces the cost of doing the lockpicking actions, but there's also like the combat stuff is useful. Usually I'll choose one like combat path because every hero has 2 combat like skills and 2 like exploration skills, but they mix it a bit. But I'll pick one path and just go like, okay, I'm going to improve light melee weapon to just get more critical hit damage and a bonus to avoidance in Frank's case because he's kind of nimble with his knives. or use the long gun mastery to just have like better accuracy and crit chance and crit damage.
So right now we have 2 points.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna take?
Every level you get 2 points. I think because I know what's happening in the game.
What do you guys think we should get for this? For Frank? Let's hear it in the chat.
Because I think I'd pick lockpicking, because just paying 1 less action point to pick locks is really useful. And yeah, let's use both lockpick skills. Then I can go back. And now it's the end of the prologue, so I can talk to Samantha. I can examine Samantha, just like, oh, Samantha will give me a drink. And now Frank needs to cool off a bit after talking to Gavin, so he's going to order a drink. And now we see the end of the prologue. The end of the prelude, basically. It's kind of...
The tutorials, like...
Yeah.
So. Nice.
So now we have an interview with Kenny Hogan after he won the Desmond Wells Cup, which is part of the Kings League. So Kenny Hogan doing Kenny Hogan stuff, being kind of a unpleasant person. Want to say something else? Starts with a D.
Well, I mean, they do curse in the game,
yeah,
right? So
let's be PG. It's the morning. But yeah, just like it rubs Frank the wrong way, where Kenny Hogan says like, "Hey, I'm rich. I'll stay rich. You guys are poor. You're gonna stay poor." And yeah, just like
quite the thinking, the man.
Yeah, just like really antagonizing Frank. If it was made to make Frank angry exclusively, that's what it would make.
The art style of this cutscene is just beyond amazing. Yeah. It's great.
And now the heroes kind of decide, yeah, let's go on that mission. Sally's knew it work. I knew it'd work, so let's get going. And now another achievement. It's not the A team, it's A team, because it's basically what they found.
All right, let's have a look at this cutscene.
Yeah, that's the introduction of the game. Sally and Gavin going on their adventure.
Behind with his laptop.
Yeah. And
here it goes. Shout out to the CMF and Volta, Team 17. We had Luke in the chat earlier. And no shout out to Hogan Industries, but Sunday Gold. Sunday Gold coming out October 13 on Steam.
I'm gonna have to think of my riddle or my question, right?
Yeah, something very, very simple.
Yeah, well, we could... Do I ask it now? Or
yeah, so everybody, we have a couple of minutes to go before the giveaway. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and then Felix is going to ask a question, and you're going to have to get to your keyboard or phone and write the answer as quickly as you can, because the quickest person with the correct answer will be receiving a Sunday Gold key. I will give you out all the steps and process to get your key afterwards.
So now they're introducing the mission right now. We saw some text in bold, so we have to get Gavin to his office. And Gavin's not feeling it right now. He knows he's not supposed to be there, and he's starting to freak out a bit. So now we're going to have the composure kind of tutorial introduction. So he loses composure. Now we see like what happens when you lose composure. Like, his meter's going to go down, and they could like have combat attributes that aren't working the way they should, and some afflictions that are going to be showing up, and the chance to panic in combat. And what happens? They have a panic meter that shows up, and then that may cause them to act on their own. Now we see like what happens to Gavin when he loses composure. So he's gonna start by being jumpy a bit when he gets to 80% or less, then necrophobic because he becomes afraid of death, of the concept. So if he kills an enemy when he's at under 50%, he's gonna lose some more composure. So it can be a vicious cycle. And paranoid. So if he gets too low, he's gonna have even more difficulty managing his composure. Frank doesn't act the same way, so if he gets 70% or lower, he's going to become twitchy, so he's going to kind of lose some accuracy in combat and effectiveness. And then more stuff. And Sally, basically they all have a phobia, so Gavin is afraid of death. Frank and Sally have been through this already, so they're not afraid of death specifically, but Frank doesn't like dogs. It's going to show up in this game a couple of times. And
Really?
Sally's technophobic, so she doesn't like enemies that aren't like humans.
So were you the person that designed those composure aspects in the game, or?
Let's say a good part of it. Oh, puppies are cute. Yeah.
Puppies are cute. Gina.
So let's have a look at the database. It might factor into my question, so pay attention.
Oh, it might.
So we have, because as I said earlier, like we saw the database in its original state when the tutorial said like, hey, the database exists. It had fewer tabs and fewer items, and now as we're kind of going through the game, it's filling up. So we've seen some tags, like Frank has defended, so he guarded. We see the guard tag. Staggered because we destroyed the enemy's defense buffs. The characters, we have Frank Barber over here, Gavin Dorsey and his little bio, and Sally Wheeler with her bio. And now the weapons, consumables, and characters. Oh, we also have Ian that we saw in the alley, but he's not in the game anymore. Well, he's still in the game, but he's dead now. So that's a memorial to Ian. Hey, Ian. Pour one out for Ian. But, so now let's go with the question. So what's...
Are you ready, guys? Are you ready? Just say ready in the chat. Felix is ready. So let's just hear you out. If you're ready for the giveaway, Felix is going to ask a question, and the first person that answers correctly will get a Sun & Gold Steam key to play the game at lunch.
So, can I go?
Ready? Let's hear one more ready. All right, they're ready.
So, basically, what's Frank's full name? We've seen it like 20 seconds ago. So, Frank's full name... Oh! Okay, wow, that was...
Well, I don't know if that was before.
Okay,
yeah, but
okay.
you're good.
Well done.
So, we have a winner. Call, if you would please send a DM on the Twitch account of Bkom Studios and just say hi. And I will get in touch with you and we'll just follow the next steps for your key. Ready? So just so you know, we are going to be live every Tuesday, same hour, until the game launches. So if you did not win a key, don't worry. You'll be able to have other chances at winning a Steam key for
I'll add that to my calendar. So now let's introduce Chapter 1 a little bit. We have like 2 minutes. So now we're in Hogan Tower. And the Hogan Industries headquarters in London. So we saw the little title card at the beginning of the chapter, but we're in the parking garage. So now we're gonna kind of try to explore to find what's happening in that tower. We're gonna try to find like Gavin's data files. We can look at this thing. I greatly encourage people to read all these because I think they're fun. I wrote them. They were fun when I wrote them, anyways. But I had a lot of fun writing them because it's basically Frank's journal saying like, okay, now Gavin says he knows a lot of stuff, but I'll take anything. But yeah, he doesn't like Hogan Industries, and it kind of describes what Hogan Industries is to people in London basically, or in the world. And now, what could be the information? So as you go through the mission, through the chapters, the journal kind of fills up with all that lore information that Frank kind of adds to his adventure. So I think it's all worth a read. I think it's interesting. So we could examine the lift, but we're going to realize that, hey, maybe security cameras could put us in trouble. So let's find a way to disable the security cameras. So Gavin said, oh, there's probably a way. Yeah, Frank, let's shoot him. Whatever.
Nice. You guys, do you have any last questions for game designer Felix regarding Sun & Gold for today's live stream? And we are about to go after that. So congratulations again for the key. And we'll be back next Tuesday, same time, with someone else from the Bkom development team.
Okay. So, yeah, now we have a little sub-objective over here with more information. So, yeah, just also that little bit over here, like Frank says, like, Sally noticed the security cameras watching over the lift. She's always been pretty sharp, probably kept me from appearing on a compilation of dumb criminals too many times to count. Like, Frank knows that Sally's probably holding him kind of on the right path, his quote-unquote right path of being a criminal, but not being a dumb one that gets caught all the time. So, yeah, now he has doubts about Gavin as well. So, I think these little bits of added text that they factor into the game because they guide you into kind of helping you reminding you of what to do and kind of putting stuff into context, but I think they add to the whole entire experience.
All right, and that's time, everybody. We have to go and say goodbye, but don't worry, we'll be back next week. Same time, so thanks again, and don't forget to add Sun & Gold to your Steam wishlist if you haven't done so yet. The free Prologue is playable right now on Steam as well. If you want to give a go at the game, would love to hear your feedback. There's a Discord channel for the Sun and Gold community. I do invite you to join the Discord channel. Write your comments. There's a feedback channel on there. We want to know your thoughts about Sun and Gold. All right, so that was Sophie and Felix from Bkom Studios. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye-bye.